Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Madisonville Marine, proud to salute the memory of Pat Summitt. All right, we've been talking today about Pat Summitt's legacy or impact, and then also trying to move forward with some positive memories of this woman. You worked closely with her. You followed her. You came from a basketball hotbed in Chicago. You've known the name Pat Summitt. You came to work with Pat Summitt on peripherally. Your thoughts? Just opening remarks on Pat Summitt.
Well, like everyone else, a legend. The difference is I didn't grow up here. I grew up outside Chicago. I grew up with a mother that coached high school volleyball, who used to talk about Pat Summitt and all the great things that she did for women's athletics. Following the Catchings and Candace Parker, Coach Summitt is basketball, and her legacy can't be talked about enough. But the fact that she was so impactful to so many people, not only on the court but off the court, is a testament to all her greatness. And
you were involved with her camps as well once you came in?
Yeah.
Once you were on Bruce Pearl's staff?
Yeah, I ran their coaches clinic, which I always tease Coach Pearl. We had unbelievable numbers, and Coach Pearl liked to joke around that it was to come see him because we had just went on success. I was like, Coach, your name could not have even been on the brochure, and there was going to be the exact same amount of people that were coming because it was Coach Summitt. And she was a great person to work with.
Now, you had the unenviable task of following Pat Summitt and having to do having to speak after Pat Summitt. Tell folks about that one.
Yeah, so I got invited to the Nashville picnic, the sports picnic. This was the time when Coach Kiffin was still here. And it was on their way to SEC Media Day, so the football coach always goes first. Well, Coach Summitt was there, and she had another obligation, so she went second. Well, I was going to speak because it was during the recruiting period, and Coach Pearl couldn't be there. So we get on the plane to fly to fly there, and I'm saying, what am I going to do? I got to go up after Coach Kiffin, the football coach, and then Coach Summitt. And so I get up there to speak, and before that, Coach Summitt leans over, and what she would do is, you can do it, just type of words of encouragement, because she could tell I was nervous. But I swear, every word that I spoke after Kiffin was done, after Coach Summitt was done, there was about 3 people getting up from their seats leaving for every word that I spoke, because they weren't here to hear me, they were here to hear Coach Summitt.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably, anyone who ever had to follow her probably felt the same way. Now, you were in charge of on-campus recruiting for the basketball team at UT. And there's always been this talk that, when recruits come here, they want to meet Pat Summitt and all this stuff. How true is that?
It was true. I mean, it didn't matter if they were a Tennessee kid, they were an Atlanta kid, wherever they were from, mom, dad, and player. It wasn't just the mom and the sisters. It was everybody. Everybody wanted to meet Coach Summitt, and to have a sit down with Coach Summitt. She was direct. And she would talk to those kids and to the mothers about why their son needed to come here. And it didn't matter what their background was from, how they might have acted in front of other people. Those kids and those parents were always jaw-dropped and unbelievably respectful for Coach Summitt. And so she had an impact not only on her sport, but with Coach Pearl's success as well.
You also saw something, a lot of people know this, that she worked well with just about every men's coach that came through there. Kevin O'Neill, who didn't have a history of playing well with others, even on his last night when he's deciding where to go, Pat Summitt comes in to talk to him. That was somebody that was a confidant of his. Bruce Pearl, good relationship. Conzo Martin, you were on that staff. Talk just very briefly about the way Pat Summitt would work with the men's coach or reach out to the men's coach.
I mean, anytime, and now she has a statue, but anytime your name is on the court, you've won thousands of games, I'm not going to say you have a right to, but you kind of have a right to call the shots a little bit.
Right.
Pat never had that. We could come to Pat and say, hey, Coach, look, we've got a kid that's got an exam. We've got to start practice a little bit later. Could we make some adjustments and get on the court? And she would do all that she could to help us out, because at the end of the day, her thing was if Tennessee basketball as a whole became better, it ultimately would help her program as well. It wasn't about, hey, I only want my team and my program to be successful. So she did all she could to help Coach Pearl, helped the players, and helped the program become what it was just a few years ago.
Mark Pankratz, thank you very much for coming in and sharing some memories of Pat Summitt. When we come back on the Sports Source, we'll continue our salute to the legendary Tennessee coach. Come on back on the other side of this break.